All right, great. We'll go ahead and get started then. Thanks everyone for joining today's webinar, 10 Proven Ways to Sell Cloud Backup. My name is Carla Federico. I'm the Online Marketing Manager here at Infrascale, and I'll be sending you a copy of this presentation as well as a copy of these slides. So you'll have my contact info here as well. If you have any questions afterward that you didn't get a chance to ask today, please feel free to reach out to me. And here's the agenda that we have for today. We have a 30-minute presentation. We're going to talk about first, identifying the right target audience. Then we'll discuss selling with a special offer, how to develop an offer and a call to action. We'll talk about creating an online backup website as well as email marketing. We'll talk about email templates, email subject lines, email service providers. We'll discuss social media. And then we'll get into sales. We'll talk about business backup sales pitches, pricing and packaging, as well as free trials. If there's anything that you want discussed that you don't see on this agenda, please use that question tool again and just type in, let me know if you have any questions that come up or if there's some other items that you want covered, and we'll go ahead and cover that as well. So let's just dive right in. So first we're going to discuss identifying the right target audience. So now as an Infrascale partner, you have a cloud backup solution to sell. So really identifying the needs of your target audience is going to be essential before you embark on any kind of sales or marketing campaign. So firstly, step one, simply determine if you have access to a business audience, a residential audience, or both. And this could vary depending on your type of business and depending on how and on who your customers are going to be from your business model. So could vary for some of you. You may have access, for example, to healthcare clients. So in step two here, who among this group is going to be the key decision maker when it comes to online backup? So for an example, in a medical office, like I mentioned in healthcare, it might be the head physician. In a hotel, it might be the general manager. And then simply step three is determining how many of those key decision makers you have access to, and then developing the way that you're going to reach out to them. Now, it very well be by phone or by email, and that's why we're going to be covering both of those today. So once you have determined your audience, you now want to develop an offer and a call to action. So this is where you're going with your marketing campaign, is to ask your customers to do something, and that's what's going to be your offer. The way that you ask them is going to be your call to action. Now here is an example with SOS Online Backup. We have a very big green Backup Now button at the bottom of this ad, which is our call to action here in this example. So a couple of sample offers. Free quote on a company-wide disaster recovery plan, or 25% off your first month of online backup, or no payment for your first month of online backup. This could all be some offers. And this is really giving your customer a reason to contact you and a reason to reach out. So you can really entice them to reach out to you with your call to action. So a couple of examples here would be get your free quote today, get 25% off now, or get your first month free. You can use any of those. And then again, this example that we use, I'd like to just make note of this image in the photo as I'm going to reference back to it here on the next slide. So once you have your offer, your call to action ready to go, you could consider creating an online backup website or landing page to promote this offer and call to action that you have and really make it, bring it to life and make it live on a website. So firstly, decide on a really meaningful headline. The headline is most likely also going to be your offer. Something that's very clear, concise, to the point, easy to read. That's what you'd be going for in your headline. And then on the rest of the page, you want to be sure that you're providing evidence that your prospects care about. So I'll just go ahead and stick with the healthcare example that I used in the beginning here. So you might want to provide evidence on compliance to them, government regulations such as HIPAA. You could also provide evidence on unlimited archiving, backup for PCs, Macs, servers. You could ensure that your customer's data is being secured in a military-grade data center. any of these points, and you really want to tailor it to match the needs of your customers. So those are a couple of examples. And then more to consider is use really simple copy and simple colors. Break apart long paragraphs with bullet points just for better readability. We suggest using no more than 2 primary colors and 1 neutral color to keep it easy on the eyes. And then a bit more to consider would be 5-second user testing. This is a great thing to do to test your landing page or your website. And what you would do is send it to 5 to 10 people that you trust, and you're simply asking them for their feedback. So with user testing this way, and the reason that it's called 5-second user testing is simply that within 5 seconds of looking at your web page, anyone should have a clear understanding of what you're asking them to do and where you should go next. So if within that short period of time your users aren't clear on where to go next or what the offer and what the call to action might be, then simply modify the page accordingly. And then lastly is that trust is huge in conversion from prospects to customers for you, and people trust people. So consider using images rather than text, and try putting a person's face as the image. That's another suggestion of something to try. And that's what I meant saying I refer back to that photo. With that SOS Online Backup ad, it was a photo of a woman's face as she was looking at her tablet. So now you have developed your offer, you've developed your call to action, you have this ready to go live on your website, and you have your target audience nailed down. So let's talk about email marketing now and get into, firstly, the anatomy of a great email template. So with your emails, you want these templates to be easy to read. You'd like them to be to the point and very clear and concise. We do have examples of email copy that you can use in our Partner Resource Center. What I'll do is everyone familiar with the Partner Resource Center? If not, please use the question tool to let me know if you're not familiar with the PRC. And I'll go ahead and I'll open up the Partner Resource Center at the end of the presentation to walk through it with everyone. So again, so you can grab copy from the PRC for any of these emails. And again, a very clear headline. Include supporting points, so include some evidence that of what you're going to be providing. And then have a really clear call to action. So those are the basics of a great email template. You definitely want to have, at minimum, those 3 points. Clear, strong headline, some supporting points and evidence, and a great call to action. Now, let's talk about subject lines next, because it really doesn't matter how great your email template is if nobody opens it. So you really want to have a strong subject line to get your promotional emails read. Definitely, I suggest being brief and being relevant. Here are a couple examples. So one type of subject line that you could go for is just simply getting to the point, putting forward your offer right in your subject line. An example here would simply be, get 25% off your 1 terabyte upgrade today. Everyone loves saving money, so they'll see that, and that will get opened. The next example is to be ominous. Again, your goal here is to simply get your email opened, so use this with caution. Be careful with this one. However, slightly eerie but relevant phrases do help. So an example here is, the government has a question about your backups. Again, simply use this one with caution. Maybe go back to that user testing and send it to 5 to 10 people that you trust and ask them for their feedback before you send that out. Highly relevant, personalized emails. That's another great example. So you can really get noticed with personalization. Most email service providers do offer this. We'll talk about email service providers on the next slide. But the example here would be, Ken Shaw, you're at the top of the list. So between these 3 types of email subject lines, they statistically get very high open rates and they're just very common types of email subject lines that you could consider using. And these are just some examples and thoughts for you to take into consideration, but of course, if you have something that works for you, just continue using that. One thing to note is to be wary of the length of your subject lines. So it's found that subject lines with 6 to 10 words have the highest open rate at 21%. 5 words or fewer have a 16% open rate, and 14% for those with 11 to 15 words. So keep the length in mind while you're writing those subject lines. So as promised, now let's get into email service providers. So how many of you are sending emails out via Outlook, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, any personal accounts? I see Outlook, I see Gmail. It looks like some of you are using email service providers already. So feel free to use the question tool, type in, let me know what you're currently using. I see another Gmail, and I see another Outlook. So it looks like we have a range. We have some who are using personal emails, some who are using email service providers. So let's quickly look then at some of the benefits that you can have from using an email service provider. So firstly, you have a really professional email format. You have simple HTML email creation, so you can send out really nice HTML emails that look very professional, have a nice clean look to them. You also have a place that houses all of your contacts and your email lists, and you can segment these lists and target specific audiences. So it's really nice to have that centralized location to keep all that information. They're also very cost effective, as little as $9.99 a month. You can get free trials to get started with these. They are very cost effective. You also have a unique email address to send from, of course. And I think one of the strongest points to having an email service provider is going to be email reporting. So you really do want to track and report all of your sales and marketing efforts, report on them, I should say. So you really want to be able to have that information at a glance. So in sending an email through Outlook or through Gmail, you're not really going to have visibility on that type of information. The reports that you'll get from an email service provider are going to really help you see which of your emails get opened, which of the subject lines that you're using are working the best, what calls to action are really performing. So you're going to have some great metrics. And then finally, they're quick and simple to get started. So they're very easy to get going. Anyone who is using an email service provider, if you want to let me know which one you're using and if you have any feedback to share with the group, please feel free. So a couple of sample vendors while you all reply. MailChimp, Elite Mail, and Constant Contact are just simply 3 examples, but there are many. So you do have options to choose from. Now, moving on to social media. So social media really can allow you to get a great viral boost from your customers, and there's little to no cost needed here. One way to do so would be to incentivize your customers to share. There are lots of ways to do this. Simply saying, hey, thanks for your business, now tell your friends. So one thing that you can consider is offering something special for those who share on social media. So a special offer might be something like 3 shares would get them an offer or a discount of some sort. But you do want to be sure that you're interacting, and you want to be sure that you're active. So a 2013 study did show that more than 80% of those surveyed felt it was vital for a CEO to interact on social media. So do get involved and be sure that you're providing updates and you're providing content that your customers really do care about. So rather than simply promoting your business, you're here to interact and to share. So you do want to be sure you're providing something of value to your prospects. And then finally, also be sure that you're tracking your social engagement. So each piece of your sales and marketing campaign should be tracked, as I just mentioned with emails, and so should social. And as you're watching your number of shares increase, Your customers are going to be spreading the news, and that's really going to be getting new potential prospects for you. So we've covered quite a bit so far. You have developed your audience, you've developed an offer and a call to action. We've talked quite a bit about building out your website and emails. Now let's get into sales pitches. So business backup sales pitches. Let me check and see. It looks like a question may have come through. So let me check that. And so I do see some responses that came through on my question to you on the email service providers. Looks like there's very positive feedback coming through. Everyone who's using the email service provider has nothing but good to say about that. So that's a very positive note. We do have some using Constant Contact, some using MailChimp. I'll go ahead and close this down to allow more of you to respond. And we'll go ahead and cover this slide here on business backup sales pitches. So here are a couple of ways to get started. Now first would be compliance. Now most businesses do have to comply with some sort of government regulation, whether it be HIPAA, PCI, Sarbanes-Oxley, or any others. This is a great way to start the conversation with some of your potential prospects. So you are eliminating the threat of non-compliance by giving your customers a tool that's going to encrypt files, store unlimited versions, store them securely off-site, and all of the other requirements that come along with those government regulations. Another great sales pitch is revolving around the potential damage of data loss. So I have a study from HP. I'd be happy to share it with you all. It states that 70% of businesses that lose data will go out of business within 1 year. So that's a pretty shocking statistic. 70% is a very high number. Reasons for this are many, but essentially, again, you're eliminating that threat of that damage from data loss for your customers. So this is a great sales pitch, and some of those stats in that study are really shocking. So I'll go ahead and send that out to you all with the copy of this presentation. So a lot of great info in there. Another example is the threat of losing customer data. It's found that customer data is the most frequently lost or mishandled. So really, your business, you want to be able to confidently tell your customers the data you share with me is kept private and kept safe at all times. And again, you can provide evidence for this very easily by ensuring them that data loss is prevented by encrypting the data, storing it off-site in a military-grade data center, a double-blind encryption system, et cetera, et cetera. So now let's look at a sales presentation. So now that you have these sales pitches down, this is going to be the opportunity that you have to really show how your company and your business is going to solve some problems for your prospect, make their data protection needs and backup needs easier. So here is sort of the anatomy of a powerful sales presentation. Firstly, you definitely want to have an introduction to briefly go over what you're going to review. And then always have a recap at the end as well and do a quick summary of what was reviewed. So the intro and the summary are simply essential pieces to any type of presentation. So next then you'll go right ahead and acknowledge the problem for your prospect. So you really want to acknowledge this because data loss is practically inevitable. You want to talk with them and discuss that losing data could be very harmful to any organization. Again, here's that stat that I just shared with you all of 70% of organizations that lose data. A recovery solution is necessary for all businesses. And the solution here that you're offering is a SaaS online backup. And now because it's software as a service, it means there's no hardware to manage and the installation is taken care of. And then of course, you'll be scheduling the backups, so there's no need for your prospects to ever worry about that. The data is going to be encrypted, recoverable at any point in time, and recoverable from anywhere. So these are just some of the examples of what you can discuss. But again, tailor this to the specific needs of your prospect and what is really important to them and their business. So then a couple features of the solution, you really want to tailor those features to them. A couple examples, a completely worry-free backup and recovery solution, cloud backup for all of their workstations, PCs, Macs, all their endpoints, Androids, iPhones, smartphones, tablets, server backup for Exchange, SQL, Windows-based servers, also now Linux and Unix and VMware. We'll talk more about that. Low RTO, bare metal backup and recovery. That's a great feature to extend to your customer. And again, RTO being recovery time objective, also RPO being recovery point objective, are really key pieces to a quick and reliable recovery solution. So after you go through the features that are of most benefit to your prospect, we'll go ahead and most likely cover competition. This will probably come up in your conversation. So there are definitely some features to consider when you're evaluating competitors. Some questions you might want to ask: does it include bare metal backup and recovery? Is it a fully managed service? Does it include unlimited archiving? And are its security standards enough for me? So these are just some of the things that you will want to consider with the competitors in your specific region. And then with your prospect, you'll of course want to cover how to get started. They'll want to evaluate your business. You'll most likely create a quote and a disaster recovery plan for them. So you'll talk about how to get started, and then finally you'll always want to thank them for their time. Again, share your contact info with them and provide follow-up for them. So now that we've gone through the sales presentation, let's take a quick look at the cold call. And cold calling can be really tough if you aren't prepared. So we're going to go through these steps very similar to what we did in the sales presentation. However, of course, this is going to be a quicker, it's going to move more quickly during a cold call than it will for a sales presentation. So definitely want to be sure that you're prepared and you have a concise presentation here of the problem and the solution for your prospect. That's going to help you keep moving through the call and also keep your prospect's attention. So you have an introduction, just like we had with the presentation, and in your introduction you want to really present the relevant reason for why you're calling. And then again, you'll be presenting the pain point here, identifying and verifying that the problem exists for your prospect. You'll present the solution. So you'll bring up some features. You'll want to be empathetic, and you'll want to also be sure, finally, that you ask for the next step. So rather than simply open-ended, how would you like to proceed type of question to your prospect, you want to really stay in control, and you want to identify and ask for that next point of contact. So what you would likely want to do is provide something to them for that next step, providing them something that they need. A couple of examples on this page, like you see, join a webinar, send a white paper, schedule a follow-up meeting. You really want to, based on what comes of that call, you want to be sure that you take control and ask for the next step for what they need. Now let's look at pricing and packaging. So you really want to be sure that you have a perfectly priced solution that matches the precise needs of your prospect. So some things to consider here. Firstly is tailoring your offering for each business. So as I mentioned a few times earlier in the presentation as well, you want to be tailoring your, the features that you discuss with them and also the offering that you have for them to their precise business requirements. So you really want to play up the features that they find of most value and really cater to that. Sticking right along with the example that I've been using today is the healthcare industry. So you really want to be sure that you're tailoring those offerings, matching what they need with what you can offer them. Secondly, you very well may be including products and features that aren't online backup. So you may have developed an entire data protection service package for your customers. You could be including antivirus, software updates. You could be including hardware maintenance. So once you develop that entire bundle and that package, that's going to play into your pricing. Last thing to consider, is other backup prices in your specific region. So your geographic location has a huge impact on how to price your solution. So you'll want to consider what competitors are charging, as well as other factors, such as bandwidth availability and cost. So lastly, what we're going to talk about today is free trials, when to use them, how to use them. So free trials, really use them carefully and be aware of when to use a trial versus when to demo. So if your prospect finds backup complicated, if it's really difficult to understand, hard to follow along with you, in this case, definitely do a demo. So this is going to be your best bet. However, on the opposite side of that spectrum, if you have a customer that's really technologically proficient, they get online backup right away, they want to just get up and running, then a trial is going to be great for them. Now, when you do provide a trial, consider to limit the duration and also limit the storage of that trial. So we find that 7 to 14 days is a really fair amount of time to give. So in 1 to 2 weeks, your prospect's going to be able to try a backup, try a recovery, and really get familiar with the software during that period of time. So 7 to 14 days is very fair. And then when it comes to the storage space, a customer is really not going to need more than 50 gigs to assess the product. So with 50 gigabytes, it's going to be enough cloud space to back up a small server and some endpoints, and they're really going to be able to have a great trial that way. All right, so let's do a quick wrap-up. I haven't had many questions come through since I last checked. It looks like no new questions. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them now. I'll go ahead and pull up the Partner Resource Center, as we do have just a couple of minutes here until my promised 30-minute time period here, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I very much appreciate you all being here. So just a recap of what we've covered before we jump into the PRC. We've identified the target audience for you, developed an offer and call to action. You are now familiar with creating an online backup website, what to put there, email marketing, as well as social media and sales. So we've covered quite a bit today. And if there are any questions, please feel free to go ahead and submit those while I pull up the Partner Resource Center for you. So you simply are going to come to dashboard.infrascale.com. I'm going to go ahead and log in with our demo account. Once you've logged in, you're going to see the Partner Resource Center just under the support section of your dashboard. So it's the second link down here. So the Partner Resource Center is located right on your dashboard homepage. So you'll just click on that link for the PRC. Once that pops up, you see that you have webinars. So just like this webinar that you're participating in today, we have webinars every Wednesday at 2 p.m. You can participate in those. You can also watch video replays of our webinars as well. So if you need an intro to your dashboard, that's going to be next Wednesday at this exact same time with Tristan Thomas, who's on our support team. And you can register for that right here. You also have sales materials. So we have sales guides, a disaster recovery template, compliance guidelines. So all types of information that you need here. We also have marketing info, email templates, presentations, other resources, and pricing info as well. So you have quite a bit of documentation in there. And then finally, you have product training videos for you. So these videos are all located here, as well as our product news, which is found in our blog, and you can subscribe to that for updates. Now let's go through a quick example of how you're going to use this information. So all of the info in the PRC is rebrandable. Now I'll use this cloud backup proposal as an example here. So simply click on this cloud backup proposal as it downloads. This is a Word doc, as I can see here. It's a Word file. So I'll go ahead and open this as soon as it's downloaded. And all of these documents are very easily rebrandable. You simply place your company logo and your information onto these documents, and they're ready to send. So very quick and easy for you to use all these materials. So it's a very simple process. So as soon as this Word doc is open, you should be able to see on my screen here now. You see a space for your company name here. You can just add your logo right at the top. This is a complete cloud backup and recovery program. So this is a proposal that you can send to your customers. Goes through everything that you need, gives some statistics on data loss, the solution that you're offering, and really discusses everything that you'd want to in a short proposal. Again, here you see right where you insert your company name, covers all the features of the program, and then at the bottom you have your logo again, you have your company name. You'd probably want to provide some of your contact information. So simple, easy to go, you just pop that in, and then you can send this to your prospects. So that's just one example that I wanted to quickly walk through with you. Now, finally, I do want to point out that you see the file type here in the PRC. Now, the file types that are PDFs, we also have provided you with the source files. So when you see a download option in the source file column, those are going to be the PSD and the AIs, so you can create your own custom PDF. So if you're familiar with Photoshop and Illustrator or have a designer and, or want to work with right now web design, for example, you can have those designs done up for you, and you can also have custom PDFs as well as Word docs. So that would be how you would use the documents in the PRC. That's just a quick walkthrough that I wanted to be able to give everyone. So I will stay around for another few minutes here and see if any other questions come up. I'll just go back and check now. And for those of you who do need to get going, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. We very much value your partnership. I'll stay along to see if any last-minute questions come up, but thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to continued partnership with you. Thanks.